Hey Techno Studs, in this video we're going to talk about threat agents. So in this video we're going to talk about threat agent types, then we're going to get into types of attacks that these threat agents take, and then we'll talk about vectors, different ways that they can start poking holes into the network or get into the network. And then we're going to talk about hacker maturity levels and the progress of a hacker. When it comes to hackers, there's a lot of different intentions that hackers have towards the networks that they're trying to hack. And so we categorize them in different types. There's the white hat hackers, those who are supposedly doing something for the intention of something good. You have the black hat hackers, who are just flat out, they're doing illegal things for their own personal gain, whether it is for monetary purposes or for the clout that they hack some sort of network, but they're full out doing illegal activity. And there's a continuum here, and some would suggest, some people draw the lines differently with this, but a white hat hacker, a good example of this is that I pay a company every year to come in and do penetration testing against my networks to make sure that they are secure. And what they do is we sign a contract saying that they're going to do penetration testing and they're going to test out to see if they can find any vulnerabilities that we have. And then at the end, they give us a report saying what exactly they found. So this is considered the ethical hacker on this side. And on this side, this is the person that's just trying to get into the network to either disrupt availability or grab some sort of information, or, it's back into the CIA, the confidentiality, the integrity, or the availability of the network. Then you have the in-between here. These are the people that, they tread on the line of doing illegal activity, but they are claiming that it's for the good of all. And they're trying to hack system and find vulnerabilities to expose it, so that way companies can take steps into protecting their resources. But there is some gray area with this, hence the term gray hat hacker, since some of the activities that they're doing is more on the illegal side. So you can categorize what they're trying to do in these three different categories. First of all, reconnaissance. Maybe they're trying to grab information about the network and map out the network and figure out what's going on with the network and do some dumpster diving to get some additional information. So they're grabbing information to kind of figure out the bounds of these networks, to figure out where some of the weaknesses are and what is going on with it. Then you have the access, the type of, once they have found maybe a weakness, they get in there and they start creating accounts so that way they can leverage the system. So they're doing some sort of access of the network. And then you have the denial of service. The whole idea behind a denial of service is they are trying to figure out a way to cripple the network to bring availability down. So this is affecting the availability of the CIA triad, the security triad. So that is the denial of service, is when they are hacking a system to actually bring it down. So what are some of the ways hackers start prying into a network? Well, they need to do that reconnaissance and start finding information. And there's some ways that they can start finding information. So one of the ways is through email and social networks. We post a lot of information on social networks and a lot of information about companies on social networks. So that's a way they can start gathering that information. Or they send email to specific people within the company to get information from those people within the company. Or even going to the website, the company website, and seeing who the execs are. And now they have a list of execs that they can either leverage those execs or leverage other people within the company with the execs' names to be able to do that. And I've seen that happen a lot. Another thing is through removable media. There are a lot of times that people will have information on media and they'll throw it away or they'll lose it, and then that information is gone. It's out there in the world. And so I've had employees before lose information, and that is not a good thing. Then there's improper access control. This is that configuration that we talked about in one of the other videos that I did, where there are configuration errors leaving doors open where hackers can get into those doors and start scoping things out and start mapping out the networks and start leveraging it to their advantage. Then you have unencrypted devices. If a laptop gets stolen and the drive on those devices are unencrypted, then that information, similar to removable media, then that information is out there. There are also cloud storage devices, and if that's improperly configured, then that information can be exposed to the outside world as well. And then also you have hard copies. And so one of the if you pay a pen tester or a penetration tester to come in and pen test your network, one thing that they have done in the past is they've actually gone through the dumpster and looked for confidential information, names of employees and social security numbers on printed out forms, documents that have not been destroyed properly. So these are all vectors of information that they can start gathering. Either it's information, like I say, with the Social Security network, the Social Security document that was found in the dumpster, that can be problematic, obviously, in itself, but it also can find information on that stuff in the dumpster to help leverage to get into the networks. So as I mentioned before, hackers have different intentions. They also have different maturity levels or different experience levels. And so here are some of the categories that we can put hackers into. And so one of them is script kiddies. Script kiddies are just the beginner hackers. They don't have a lot of experience. And what they do is they know of these different scripts that they can use to try to just run against the scripts against the different environments to see if they can hack in this system. And they're only looking for low-hanging fruit, and they're trying to gain experience here. Then you have the vulnerability broker. The vulnerability broker is that gray hat hacker, the one that treads on the line of illegal activity, but they're doing it for a cause. And the cause is so they can expose vulnerabilities, so that they want to expose a vulnerability and get that information out there so it can be corrected. Then you have hacktivists. Hacktivists have some sort of intention or statement that they want to make. And it's either they're protesting the government or a certain company, or they're for a social cause, but they're trying to make a statement out there. So they're hacktivists. Then you have cyber criminals. These are the black hat hackers. These are the ones that are out there trying to make a name for themselves, or they're trying to get some sort of monetary gain. The idea behind this is they are the ones that are doing illegal activity for some sort of self-serving purpose, that all they are out there doing it is for themselves. Then you have the state-sponsored. So there are actually, there's a whole warfare that can happen, a cyber warfare that can happen, and there are some governments that will pay hackers to be able to hack systems. And a good example of this is Stuxnet. And Stuxnet was a malicious computer worm that was invented to penetrate Iran's nuclear program and mess up and set them back years, and it actually was pretty effective. So that was Stuxnet, and it's a pretty interesting, fascinating story, and you can find a story on YouTube in regards to that. So anyways, it was most likely, some sort of state-sponsored paying somebody to create this virus worm to slow down the production that Iran had for their nuclear program. So, and that type of stuff that cyber warfare stuff is happening all the time. So here are some different hacker maturity levels. So we talked about some threat agents. We talked about some threat agent types. We talked about some different types of attacks, some vectors that they use to get into these systems, and some hacker maturity levels. So there is some information about threat agents. Hope this video is helping you out. Can you help me out by hitting that like button?